Welcome to this lesson on area of trapezoids. Please make sure we have these notes in front of you so we can begin our lesson. The learning objective for today says I can solve trapezoid area problems. So before we can start solving trapezoid area problems, we're going to have to know what a trapezoid is. So the definition of a trapezoid is a quadrilateral, which means a four-sided shape with at least two parallel sides. Now the word parallel means the sides never touch. Now if we look at this figure down here, this is an example of a trapezoid. Take note, we've got one parallel side on the top. That's going to be our base 1. We have another parallel side on the bottom. That's base 2. The height of the trapezoid is the line that forms a 90-degree angle with the base. The heights are never going to be the angled sides. Now because there's a grid behind this trapezoid, you can go ahead and count all the squares inside of the grid, and that would be the area of the trapezoid. But sometimes the problems won't give you the grid, so you're going to have to use the formula. So there's two different ways to write the formula for finding the area of a trapezoid. The first formula to find area is area equals 1/2 times the height times the quantity, which means parentheses, of base 1 plus base 2. Or the other way to write this formula, which means the same exact thing, would be area equals the height of the trapezoid times the quantity of base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2. So if you look at the first formula, if you multiply it by 1/2, it's the same thing as dividing by 2. Both of these formulas are the same. So let's use these formulas to go ahead and solve the following problems. For example 1, it says the shape of Osceola County, Florida, resembles a trapezoid. Find the approximate area of this county. So since they're asking us to find the area of a shape that looks like a trapezoid, let's go ahead and write the formula for the area of a trapezoid. Now there's two choices that we can use. I'm going to use this first formula, which is area equals 1/2 times the height times the quantity of base 1 plus base 2. So if we look at our problem, we see a parallel side on the top and the bottom of the shape, so those have to be our bases. So I can say that base 1 is equal to 48 miles. Then I can say base 2 is equal to 16 miles. And then they also give us the height. This is the height right here. It's not the angled line, so it would be 51 miles. Since we have this information, let's go ahead and plug it into the formula that we have. So we can say the area is equal to 1/2 times the height, which is 51, times the quantity of base 1, which is 48, plus base 2, which is 16. So now we can go ahead and use the order of operations to solve this problem. Let's work with the parentheses first. 48 plus 16 is equal to 64. And then I want to multiply that with the height, which is 51. And just drop down the rest of the problem, which is times 1/2. So let's go ahead and multiply first. I'm going to multiply the 51 times 64, and 51 times 64 is equal to 3,264. And then I have to multiply this by 1/2. So if I multiply that by 1/2, the area of this county in Florida is 1,632 miles squared. So that would be the answer for this question. So if there was a grid in this picture, you would be able to count 1,632 little squares. For example 2, it says find the area of the trapezoid. So since I know that we have a trapezoid, let's go ahead and use one of the trapezoid formulas for finding area. So I'm going to use this other formula, which is area equals the height times base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2. Now remember, this is the same exact formula as the other one, it's just written in a different way. So let's go ahead and identify the items that we have. We have a base on the top, and we have a base on the bottom. These are two parallel lines, they never touch. So let's identify what we have. Base 1 is equal to 7 meters. Base 2 is equal to 12 meters. And the height would be the dashed line because it's standing straight and tall. And it's forming a 90-degree angle with one of the bases. So the height would equal to 9 8/10. So now that we have this information, let's go ahead and plug it into the formula. We can say that area is equal to the height, which is 9 8/10, times the quantity of base 1, which is 7, plus base 2, which is 12. And then we have to divide that by 2. So using the order of operations, let's go ahead and work with the items inside of the parentheses first. So 9 8/10 times 7 plus 12, which would be 19. And we have to divide that by 2. So let's go ahead and work on the top portion of this problem. So if I take 9 8/10 times 19, I get 186 2/10. And then we have to divide that by 2. So if I divide that by 2, I get my area of 93 1/10 meters squared. So that would be the area of this trapezoid. And imagine if there was a grid behind it, you would be able to count 93 1/10 of those little squares. So pause the video, complete the got it problems, and we'll discuss the answer in class tomorrow. Notice I have two got it problems on the slide, got it problem A and got it problem B. And I would suggest that you play around with both formulas. Since there's two problems and two formulas, try using the different formulas for each problem. Alright, so for example 3, it says the trapezoid has an area of 108 square feet. Find the height. So they're not asking us to find the area anymore because they're giving us the area. They're saying the area is equal to 108 square meters, or square feet. What we have to do is find the missing height. So let's go ahead and use this formula. Area is equal to the height times base 1 plus base 2, and that's divided by 2. Let's identify the information that we have. I see a base on the top, I see a base on the bottom. These two lines never touch. So base 1, I'm going to identify it as 12 feet. Base 2 will be 15 feet. And our height, we don't know, so we're going to call it h. So since we have this information, let's go ahead and plug it into our formula. So they're giving us the area. We know the area is 108 square feet. That's going to equal the height, which is h, because I don't know what the height is, times the quantity of base 1, which is 12, plus base 2, which is 15, divided by 2. So for this problem now, let's go ahead and draw the fulcrum down the center of the equal sign. And let's work on the right-hand side of the problem because that's where the variable is. And let's get rid of that 2 on the bottom. Since we're dividing by 2, let's multiply both sides by 2 over 1. So to keep it balanced, let's multiply the other side by 2 over 1 as well. So the 2's are going to cross out on the right-hand side. And h times the quantity of 12 plus 15 is dropped down. And on the right-hand side, we have 108 times 2, which is 216. So we can continue to solve this problem. And let's work with the items inside of the parentheses. So I can say the height, so 15 plus 12 would be 27. So I can rewrite this problem like this. 216 is equal to 27h. And this is also a problem that you know how to solve because you just continue drawing the fulcrum. Work on the right-hand side. Since we're multiplying 27 and h, let's do the opposite and divide both sides by 27. 27's go away, h is all alone. So if we do the math, 216 divided by 27, I would get 8. So my height is equal to 8 feet. So pause the video and complete the got it problems, and we'll discuss the answers in class tomorrow. Notice I have two got it problems on the slide, got it problem C and got it problem D. So to solve these problems, I would suggest using this formula, area equals the height times the quantity of base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2. So now that we've completed this lesson, go ahead and self-rate yourself and let us know how you feel. If there's any part of this lesson that you do not understand, please go back and watch it again. Also come to class with some questions so we can discuss it in further detail.